Tiger Tank 1, 2, however you want to call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the EBR Hochkiss, the Tier 7 French light-wheeled vehicle. And boy, is it fun to drive this one around. Now, as always, test server, take everything with a grain of salt because all of these stats will probably be subject to change. This is already the second iteration of the test server. They already changed a couple of things on some of these wheeled vehicles because some of them were too fast for Wargaming's taste, and they reduced their speed in cruise mode and in standard travel mode, I think, by 5 kilometers on some of the vehicles. So yeah, keep that in mind. All of these things will probably still change before they release this patch, but I am very certain. Okay, that is wrong. Let's say I am quite optimistic that this patch will drop at the end of January. Like, they still get us like 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks more of test server time so we can try out these vehicles, and then they will probably release it to the live server at the end of the month. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to be hitting quite soon, this patch, so keep that in mind. It's going to be very interesting to see artillery handle these lightly wheeled vehicles because they're a lot of fun to drive around, and they're also quite crazy, let's put it like that. So after we played the Panhard AMD 178B, it is time to move over to the Hochkiss and take a closer look at why this vehicle is, in my opinion, more fun to play than the Panhard AMD. Now, obviously, this is the very first iteration of wheeled vehicle, and that means it's going to be a weird kind of hybrid of sorts. It's not a tracked vehicle. It obviously has the wheels, but still, it just doesn't have the mobility that really starts to take a lot more attention or a lot bigger space up in the later iterations. Because I have to be fair, when I was driving the AMD 178 and I was running around the map in circles and I didn't really look out for obstacles and stuff like that, it turned out that it was very, very unforgiving. Now, I'm not saying that the Hochkiss EBR is going to be unforgiving like the Panhard AMD, or that it's less unforgiving, but what I think is just with the third wheel that was added, or the third set of wheels, you have much more mobility, much better agility, and not track traverse, doesn't have any track traverse anymore, but you actually have much better turn speed with this vehicle once you have actual speed. Like, the turn speed while you're stationary is actually worse, but we'll get to that eventually. Let's just real fast check all the modules and take a look at how much experience you'll need from the AMD 178B to get to this vehicle. And you can see it's 61,800 experience for a tier 7 vehicle. I think that's about the average experience you'll need for it's maybe a little bit higher. You can see it's actually the same. It's decent. The AMX 1375 costs you 62,240 experience, and yeah, 61,800 experience for this vehicle. But at the same time, you have a lot of stuff to unlock. You have 2 additional guns you have to unlock, 2 radios, but you probably already own one of them. No, actually, these are new radios, so you have to unlock the 2 new radios as well. I always kind of just go for the tier 9 radio and then just skip it until I'm at like tier 10 and I get the radio anyhow, because it doesn't really matter. You still get into matches where people have enough radio range or signal range that you can still transmit all the spotted vehicles to them without a problem. I mean, it's just 30 meters difference, so 35, no big difference right there. But also 2 engines, they're very similar actually with engine power, just a slight difference. So, but you can see they still cost you about 27,000 experience, two of them to unlock, and up to the gun it's going to be another 17,000. So it's going to rack up quite quickly. Then the top wheels, and what you can see here is really like the maximum wheel turning angle of 18 degrees is just terrible. If you're stationary, you'll notice that it's just not working out. So if we take a look at the vehicle and we take a look at its style, its design, I think it looks really cool. It reminds me of a German panzered car that they had in World War II. I forgot the name again, but it looked a bit similar to it. But instead of a gun, it actually just had a machine gun mounted in the top. And yeah, its turret now is on the back, which I'm not sure is going to have a huge impact. I don't really think so. It's probably just for balancing purposes of the weight. I mean, putting the turret in the middle probably would have been a little bit awkward for the gunner and the driver. At least right here you can actually drive without a problem. The gun takes up quite a lot of space as well, so it probably should be sitting at the back. You probably don't think it's going to be any strongly armored vehicle, right? So without further ado, let's move on. We have the top crew on it, as always. We have great equipment on it, and this is going to be giving us better statistics or characteristics. So we are running we're running a 75mm gun with 1,000 meters per second velocity on the round, which is very nice. It actually is needed, to be fair. It's not firing APCR at standard. APCR is still premium. And the high explosive shells with 75mm of penetration are decent. But now you're a tier 7 vehicle, so it's going to be a lot tougher. You'll be facing tier 9 tanks. And yeah, you're only getting a 700, like a 200 HP boost right there. But as always, the mobility is going to be your main feature. But without skipping ahead, let's take a look at the gun statistics. So the gun is going to be firing rounds at a rate of fire of 9.58. Now that is quite reduced. It's not as amazing as the tier 6 vehicle. Now the average penetration with 160mm is nothing too grand, but the alpha damage also has been increased, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 170, so it's going to be similar to the style of the AMX 1375. Then the turret traverse speed is also quite high with 58.67 degrees per second. Now, that is pretty nice, but you'll need it actually when you're moving around in this tank. It's still not fast enough when you're moving and you're turning at the same time. You'll see what I mean afterwards. It just feels very slow. But it actually isn't too slow if you're stationary. It's quite slow if you're moving. So you have to always keep in mind when you're locking onto a target, give it some time for your turret to turn. Don't shoot immediately, because then you're going to just dish your shot somewhere out in the open and you're not going to hit the target at all. So 10 degrees of gun depression, still very good. 20 degrees of gun elevation, better than the previous model. But you'll probably not be a ridgeline warrior. You'll be moving around. I don't think anyone is going to be playing this vehicle as a stationary tank. Stationary, that's also going to be a very good keyword for afterwards, because we're going to take a look at two gameplays that I've prepared for you guys, and you'll see what it means to be stationary with this tank, or what it shouldn't really mean for you. Then the aim time, 1.5 seconds aim time, just like the previous Panhard AMD. Very good aim time. You really need it when you're on the move. You need the best aim time, you need best accuracy, or the most accurate you can be. 0.38 dispersion at 100 meters is not that great for moving at the same time, so I have the feeling you're going to be more playing this vehicle as an active scout and less like a real brawling light vehicle that is running around in circles, but that can still happen. So armor wise, it is better armor than the previous model, at least 40 millimeters at the front, 20 on the side, 20 on the rear. Still not enough at tier 9 and tier 8. You can get one-shotted with high explosive rounds if you're unlucky. 750 HP, I would have enjoyed a little bit more, maybe 850, something like that. But 750, well, as always, do not try to eat shots with the 750. Don't trade. Do not do anything like that. Your armor is mobility. Now this vehicle has 70 kilometers per hour moving forwards and 45 kilometers going backwards. Now the difference is that going backwards now is not the same speed as going forwards with the Panhard AMD. You have to keep that in mind. You're only going 45 kilometers going backwards, and your turning angle is worse than on the previous model with 18 degrees maximum turning angle for your wheels. That mainly has to do because you have you have 3 sets of wheels now. So it's quite difficult to turn your vehicle at the same time. If you're stationary, it's very difficult. But 70 kilometers per hour, but you said it's going to be faster, right? It's 5 kilometers faster than the Panhard AMD, but it feels a lot faster. Why does it feel a lot faster? If we take a look at the AMD, the problem here for me was when I was driving this vehicle around, it reaches 65 kilometers mark without a problem, right? But because of all the soft stats that you don't see, when you're turning your vehicle, you really decelerate quite quickly. The thing is with the Hochkiss EBR, because you have more traction to the ground with 3 sets of wheels, you do not lose as much speed as you do on the Panhard AMD. You have better traction, you can accelerate faster, the specific power to weight ratio is better, and the vehicle just feels faster to me somehow. I know it sounds weird, but it does feel a bit faster to me, and I enjoy running around with this vehicle much more because it gives me better control when I'm driving around with the 3 set of wheels instead of just the 2 set of wheels. You don't have the boost ability or the cruise mode yet because the wheel is set on the ground, and that means that you basically just have better mobility and you don't have the ability to have cruise mode activated. Cruise mode gives you a bit of a speed boost, but at the cost of mobility, which you can see here. Cruise and rapid mode. Rapid mode, you're faster, but cruise mode, you are more agile. But we don't have that yet. It's going to be coming down later in the next version in the Panhard AML Lynx 6x6. That's going to be very interesting to look at. That's going to be the very next one we'll cover. And now moving on to concealment. Now the vehicle is not badly concealed. It's quite nice, so it's going to take them a while to actually spot you, but the same goes for the view range as with the Panhard AMD. It's going to take you quite a while to get close to, actually no, it's not going to take you a while to get close to the enemy, but you have to get quite close to actually spot them. 368 meters view range. Now, if they are also hidden somewhere in bushes, you have to get quite close, but the thing is, with the mobility, the speed that you have, what Wargame want you to do is actually spot very early on in the game, be there, be at the forefront, spot, then run away, shoot and scoot, give your team the time to maybe shoot 1 or 2 tanks, and then, do the same thing again, maybe at a later time. Don't run around the entire time at the same place, because once they're going to be able to hit you, and when they're going to start hitting you, it's going to be quite quickly over because your vehicle doesn't have any HP. And if they knock out one of the wheels, it's going to really decrease your speed. But what I've noticed is if they knock out one of the wheels right here, it didn't feel as horrible as with the Panhard when you had like 4 wheels, because now you have 6 wheels. Now the speed is obviously going to be decreased, yes, but the mobility isn't that much influenced by it. So at least I can say that much. So without further ado, I'd say let's move on over to the games and see how this bad boy does in battle. The very first game we're going to be taking a look at is on Prokhorovka, and this, coupled with Malinovka, with the North American map, basically with every open map, is a perfect place for a vehicle like this. You can spot very early on in the middle, then you can fall back, maybe do some couple of runs down the 1-2 line while you're very quick. And then maybe if you're still alive, you can go over and check out the eastern part of the map. And the best weapon that you have on this vehicle, or on this vehicle type, is not your gun. It's not your spotting capabilities. Although spotting capabilities come very close, your best weapon is chaos. What you're doing every time you're running past the enemies is you're creating so much chaos, because all of a sudden there are like 10 guns pointed at you because they're afraid you're going to spot them all. Then they're going to all focus on you while giving your team the chance to get into position. At the same time, Artie pretty much trembles in fear because, well, they can do absolutely nothing against you. And what you can see right here is, this is exactly what I meant. When my wheel gets hit on this vehicle, it doesn't seem to be as bad as on the AMD Panhard, because what actually happens right there is that we still are rather mobile. And this is a very common problem on the test server. You not looking where you're going, driving around, and just crashing into other vehicles or objects. Now keep that in mind, always look where you're going, and after that crash I was just trying to be a bit more careful right there. So obviously it's a test server, things are happening, there are a lot of lightly wheeled vehicles running around, and what we're doing right here is something that you cannot do on the live server with any other vehicle. You cannot just run down this 1-2 line and spot some tanks and then just run away again. And that's exactly what we did right there. We spotted the P40 Pantera. And what you can see right over there is another light vehicle, a EBR Hochkiss, actually sitting over there in the bush and trying to be a passive scout. That just doesn't work with these vehicles. You can sit in the bush, yes, no worries. But you cannot spot like that on a map like this, because you basically only have a very limited amount of view range. Your camouflage might be okay, yes, it might be good enough, but you're just not, you're just too exposed. Once they light you, you really have to get away fast. They're just going to really take you out quite quickly, and your turn radius won't give you the speed to turn over and run back to your base. But at the same time, I mean, if you're just driving forward, you're going to be quite fast quite quickly. That is one of the main things. The acceleration on these vehicles is so goddamn amazing. Once you're like stationary and you kind of get spotted, you can just hit the acceleration button and off you go. You're gone. No one will be able to see you anymore, and you're basically leaving the enemy in your back, and they have to fend out for themselves, right? And that's the very nice thing about these vehicles. In situations like these, you'll be able to run away, be very quickly at running away, then come back, active scout again. But the thing is, because I'm still trying to get the hang of these vehicles, I was way too aggressive right there. I was constantly spotting them at the middle because I wanted to give our team a bit of an advantage, a spotting advantage. And what actually happened was we did get 2,000 spotting assistance, which isn't too bad, but there was a high cost to it, and that was basically that we lost our life because we were always kind of spotted, and when you're always spotted, well, people are going to shoot you, and even if they miss 20 times out of 40 times, okay, that's maybe too crazy, but even if they still miss 35 rounds out of the 45 rounds, we'll still find their target. Now check this out. Two light vehicles are popping up any second now on the ridgeline. Check it out, check it out. He gets knocked out by the KV2 and he gets knocked out by the STRV S1. They are not invincible. No. And the speed, however fast they might be, right? A good experienced player that knows how to aim can still take them out. And this is the death sentence for you if you're just standing still. Did you see the KV2 that just sniped an EBR Hochkiss off the wheels while he was actually flying over the ridgeline? That is crazy. Now, I don't want to bore you anymore with this game right here, because unfortunately it's going to be a defeat. Although my team does have the advantage on the map, they do have the entire 1-2 line controlled right now, so it's going to be very difficult for the enemy team to actually do anything against these guys when they're in these very good sniping positions. But if you're losing your scouts very early on, this is just not going to work out. So without further ado, sorry if I spoiled anything. We're gonna move on to the next match. It's actually going to be a defeat, and I know I can't. I don't believe it either when I see this. So let's move on to the next match. I thought I'm going to be playing a bit more cautiously. Now we're playing on Lakeville. Yeah, it's Lakeville. And this map doesn't give you the ideal spaces for mobility for any kind of tank. You have the middle, which is a very slim road where light tanks actually try to passive scout a lot of times, but that is obviously not going to be an option for us because we don't have enough space to maneuver there. And then you have the city, which gives you the most space to maneuver, but you have so many objects in your way, so many buildings, that it's very difficult to run around there with top speed. You're so fast that you might just always run into a building. The 1-2 line is no option for us, so what that leaves for us is basically either the city or sitting at the back of the map or being a very aggressive early scout and go over to the enemy base. So what I'm thinking right here is, well, my view range is pretty damn bad, so sitting in the middle is no option for me. The 1-2 line is no option for me. What we're going to do is we're going to be early spotting the very first few vehicles coming into the town by running around the town very closely. What you can see right here is it does actually work out. We get some assistance damage right there, and we're actually, with the 3 wheels, we have amazing traction. We can turn around very quickly. We can plot our course without a problem, and we were able to run around in the town without a problem. But what you can see right here is when you're not paying attention to the road, you are going to be crashing into things. And they actually knock out 2 of my wheels, and you can see it does affect movement and speed very drastically. I didn't want to fix those wheels just there, but I thought, why not? And right there we actually stopped, and you can just see how long it takes for us without any speed to maneuver our vehicle. And this is where you kind of get into an awkward situation in this tank. When you're in the city, there's a lot of objects in your way, and you don't have the speed anymore. You get stuck on everything because your turn rate is just terrible. But once up to speed again, we actually can outrun everything. So we're running out of the city, we know it's getting overrun, and what we're going to do right now is regroup and then figure out a new plan of engagement. What I've noticed now is everyone is either in the city or on the 1-2 line. So what would be the best option for us? Just rush down the 5 and 4 line, down the middle, and see just how quickly we can get to the other side of the map, you know, without ever stopping. And actually right here with the mobility, top speed, it actually works perfectly. You can just run down, no problem. You have enough space if you're fast enough, and you can just basically outwit everyone. So what I'm doing right here is, look at this artillery piece. This artillery piece comes out of hiding, and I don't wait long enough to actually get my turret on. There is actually no lead, excuse me if I said there was lead previously, and what you can see right here is actually we're running circles around the Scorpion G and the M44. The M44 actually does it actually does splash us, and we decide to run through the front of a Scorpion G, which was a very bad idea. But what I wanted to show you guys right here is that you have the ability to run around vehicles in circles and really be a very annoying vehicle for them. A very annoying enemy tank that they just get really mad of. Now obviously artillery did hit us and he did splash us, but the thing is, if you can keep your speed 60-70 kilometers per hour and run circles around them, and maybe even have a piece of cover in between you, so you can actually, you know, get behind cover once you get overwhelmed because there's another vehicle coming in or something like that, or they actually hit you once and you lose speed. That is actually very nice. That's where this vehicle does shine the best. If you can actually isolate a vehicle all by yourself and you have enough space to run circles around it, do it. It's so much fun. They have no chance of getting out of there. Your rate of fire is good enough. You'll be able to hit the weak spot at the side or the rear. You just have to be patient enough, you know, to get into a position like that. And that's very, very important that you kind of look at the HP pool that you have to your advantage on this vehicle. Because as always, you have to manage HP on every vehicle, but if you have like 750 HP at the end of the match, and there are only a couple of vehicles left, then you can do really aggressive plays. And if you lose HP very early on in the match, these aggressive plays just won't be able. You won't be able to do these aggressive plays. So keep that in mind. These vehicles really need a lot of attention. You need to be very attentive for your driving. You need to be attentive where the enemy is. You need to know which part of the map you can utilize, which part of the map you shouldn't go to. You need to be kind of informed about all the characteristics of your vehicles. Where can you actually drive fast? What is your top speed going backwards? What is the strength of your vehicle in these close-knit situations? So there's a lot of stuff you have to learn when you're playing these new vehicles. It's a lot of things that you have to take into account which you previously didn't have to. And I think this is great because it gives us a new kind of way of playing both tanks, and it once again, as I mentioned previously, gives us a new kind of dynamic to the game. And that is really cool. The new dynamic is rather nice. It makes the game a lot faster. It makes the game a lot more chaotic. There are a lot less stalemates. People tend to be a lot more on guard, because obviously when there is a vehicle like that running around, you basically have to be ready every second to get into cover or shoot them, and everyone who's not paying attention will really hurt quite quickly and lose a lot of HP. So I hope you guys did enjoy this preview of the EBR Hochkiss. To finally give a verdict on this vehicle, it is a lot of fun. I think it is a better vehicle than the Tier 6, and if you didn't enjoy the Tier 6 and you just thought it was kind of a lame introduction into the series, give this one a try, because I think it's a lot better balanced. You know, we were finally able to do some real chaos, do some real spotting, which is very important for me because I will be playing these vehicles as an active scout. I want to be able to spot things. And I'm just looking forward to the next iteration, the Lynx 6x6, which is actually quite famous. And I'm really looking forward to that. So, I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, write down in the comment section down below what you think of this vehicle. And I'll catch you on the next video.